All right, so today I woke up from a good night's sleep. I checked my phone. I had a text from my boy Khalil. He was talking about some Houston Rockets trade package for Jimmy Butler. Something typical, the same package we've been talking about forever. But then I open up Twitter and I see a tweet from Adam Barai who's saying that he would take a Houston Rockets trade package. And I'm thinking that's a coincidence, right? The first two messages I see in the morning are in regards to a Jimmy Butler Houston trade package, but Adam Barai's been talking about trading Jimmy to Houston for years, so I didn't think nothing of it. But then I keep scrolling Twitter, and that's when I see this Shams report. And now y'all know how I feel about NBA reporting, particularly in the offseason, but also in the season. I think it's very stupid. Most reports are like, the Lakers are interested in Luka Doncic. Yeah, no kidding. Good teams are interested in good players. That's not a report. And for the most part, it's these random ass reporters that just put stuff out there to try to get some clout. But with Shams Charania, I feel different. I think Shams is the most legit reporter out there, and he has the most respect from me, particularly as a Heat fan. I feel like in history, he has been more plugged in with the organization than anyone else, specifically Adrian Wojnarowski. I can't stand that bump. Everything that guy does is he's a puppet for GMs like Joe Cronin. I hate that guy. He's got an agenda with everything, but not Shams. So when I was scrolling Twitter today and I saw this report from Shams, it says on his new article for ESPN, it says Heat open to listening to offers for Jimmy Butler. And I'm like, oh no, that's not good. That's interesting. But then I'm thinking, well, it's not like some big breaking news tweet. It's not Shams saying that Jimmy Butler requested a trade. So it's not that bad. But then again, I'm just reading the headline because he posted this on the ESPN Plus, which I don't pay for. But shout out to Hot Hoops on Twitter, a great Heat fan page, who posted the actual quote from the article. And this is what Shams said. He said, Jimmy Butler's agent, Bernie Lee, has indicated in league circles that Butler's open to destinations such as the two Texas teams, Houston and Dallas, and the Golden State Warriors. And then he goes on to say, above all, he is believed to prefer a win-now title contender in any trade. Teams have also been informed that Butler intends to opt out of his deal in the offseason and become a free agent. The Heat have hovered around the play-in tournament over the last two seasons, and with Butler's contractual status, they have been open-minded to trade inquiries. And the part about this that's really interesting is that Shams Charania directly mentions Bernie Lee. And the fact that he mentioned Jimmy's agent really makes me believe that Jimmy actually wants out of here. If y'all don't know Bernie Lee, he's obviously Jimmy's agent, but he's on Twitter and he tweets a lot about like what Jimmy is feeling because that's his guy. So the fact that he actually mentions him really, really changed my mindset on whether this is believable or not. Because now I truly do believe that Jimmy wants to leave. And of course, let me not say wants to leave, but he would be open to the idea of it. Because if he does want to leave, it was always going to be through some kind of report like this. It was never going to be through some public trade demand because the relationship with the Heat is too good. Like it was going to be like this. And now that we're randomly getting this news, it doesn't make me feel great with regards to keeping Jimmy Butler. Now, I guess opposed to that, it could be him putting this out there to publicly put pressure on the Heat to make improvements, but he could have did that for years now. It's just, if nothing's out there, what are the Heat going to do? They really don't have a lot of assets. Now, I think Jimmy does like it here. I don't really think things have soured. I mean, I think he loves Miami as a city. He just opened his permanent coffee shop here. But I do believe that he wants to win above all else. And if he doesn't think that he can do that here, well, then I can certainly see him making the tough decision for him and saying, hey, I love it here. I love you guys. I love the front office, but I don't got that much left in the tank. I want to win. So is the potential there that maybe the Heat leaked this report to maybe let other teams know that they are now willing to trade him because the Heat are finally picking a direction and that direction is to go young? I don't think so, just because if this was the Heat leaking that out there, it wouldn't be Bernie Lee's name attached to this. That's just the facts of it. Now, honestly, I want to keep Jimmy Butler. I just posted in a video yesterday about De'Aaron Fox that I want to build around Jimmy Butler right now. I think you could do that with a guy like De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, Fox is good for win now and the future. But my overall point was guys like Jimmy Butler don't fall off of trees. I understand the regular season concerns, his lackadaisical play, and maybe that is a sign that Jimmy doesn't want to be here, or maybe it's a sign that he's just getting older and his body can't handle the grind of an 82-game regular season. I think it's more so that because we see when Jimmy tries out there, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. I just think he's at the age right now where he can't do it every game. But I still believe that even at his current age, come the postseason, he can be one of the best players in the NBA. He can be a guy that leads you to a championship, and there's only a handful of guys in the league that you can say that about. You know how hard it is to have a championship window? Teams go decades without having a championship window. And I believe that you have that as long as Jimmy Butler's on the roster. So as bad as things look right now, I can't bring myself to say trade him just because you don't think you can win. I think when you have Jimmy Butler, you have a chance. Who knows who becomes available at the deadline, so you can maybe add them to this team to go all in. So I personally would want to keep Jimmy Butler, and when you have a guy like him, I say ride it out to the end. Hey, we may already be there. I don't know. But all of that being said, I do completely understand the people that want to trade Jimmy Butler. Because this team, the reality is this team has been a playing team the last couple seasons. The reality is we've tried to get multiple stars over the years and have got no one. And at some point, you do got to pick a direction. And if Jimmy Butler is going to opt out at the end of this season, he may walk for nothing. And obviously, that's a nightmare case scenario. So I completely do understand trading Jimmy Butler. Now, the teams that was mentioned in this article are basically the three teams we've heard the most about throughout the last couple seasons. So I want to go through each of those and talk about them from a Jimmy perspective and also a Heat fan perspective. So the first team that he mentions is the Golden State Warriors, who we know would be some kind of package resolved around Jonathan Kuminga, because the Warriors don't want to pay him. And while I think he's a good player, I also don't want to pay him. He has shown he's a guy that can be a good scorer in this league. He might be the guy they put in that Jimmy Butler role, although I don't think he'll ever be as close to as good as Jimmy Butler, but he's a good player. Now, they would also have to likely add Andrew Wiggins just to make the money work, because Kuminga does not make a lot of money and Wiggins does. And while Wiggins is having a great season, just last year he was looked at as maybe the worst contract in the NBA. So I know he had some personal stuff going on, so I hope he's past that. Everything's good with him, of course, and maybe that is why he's playing better this season. And if he can keep that up, I think he could be a nice fit, in a starting group with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. But I personally, I don't love that package. Of course, I don't know what the pick situation is. If you could get 3 picks for Jimmy Butler in any of these trades, I would love it. I do think that's a lot to ask for at Jimmy Butler's age. But I do think maybe you could get 2 first-round picks, and I sort of would be happy with that as well. From a Jimmy Butler perspective, I do think that team probably gives him the best chance to win a championship, either them or the Mavericks, obviously, just because we've seen them win the championship the most recently. You still got Steph Curry playing at an elite level. Outside of that, you don't got too much. The AirPods is not having a great season. Draymond is really hit or miss, and obviously they'd be losing a lot of depth. But hey, when you got Curry, you got Jimmy, guys will want to play there. Maybe they can get someone next offseason and go for it. It'd be tough to say, but I do understand Jimmy wanting to go play over there. Next is the Dallas Mavericks. And of course, with the 2 Texas teams, Jimmy is from Tomball, Texas. I don't know exactly how close that is to Houston or Dallas, but maybe that's a reason why he would personally want to go back. But from a Heat fan perspective, I don't know what the Mavericks package would be exactly. They got some nice pieces, like young pieces like Hardy and I guess Derek Lively, but I don't think they would let go of those guys. I haven't looked too much into a Dallas package, but I wonder what their pick situation is like. I'd imagine it's not great, because I know they traded one for Kyrie. I don't remember how many first they traded for PJ and Daniel Gafford, but as far as the Heat fan perspective, I'm unsure exactly what the return will be. But from the Dallas perspective, yeah, that team would be good, because they've been to the finals the most recently just last season. And obviously, if you have a big 3 of Kyrie, Luka, and Jimmy, that team can make some noise. Of course, Jimmy and Kyrie are very close friends, so I think Jimmy would like that as well. And it's tough to say, though, that I could see Jimmy wanting to go there because if you really think about all these teams' potentials, yes, the Golden State Warriors won, but they've looked pretty bad since. Yes, the Mavericks have been to the finals, but the Heat have been to the finals too, twice. So part of me really wonders if Jimmy thinks the Mavericks have a better chance to reach the finals than the Miami Heat, especially since it's in the Western Conference. So that just is something to make note of also. But the last team here is the Houston Rockets, who definitely could offer the best package to the Miami Heat. They have a plethora of young talent. They got obviously Jabari Smith Jr. They got Reed Shepherd, who can't even get a lot of run there right now, but looked awesome in the summer league and was a stud at Kentucky. I think he was the 3rd pick in the draft. Both of those guys, by the way, would fit great in a Heat system. Jabari Smith Jr. is a spacer at the 4 spot. He's not having as great a shooting season as you'd hope, but we've seen him be a very capable shooter in the past. He'd fit great at that 4 spot. Reed Shepherd is not only a phenomenal off-ball shooter, he's a great on-ball defender. I think he would fit perfectly in the backcourt next to Tyler Hero. And I do think those are the 2 most likely pieces Houston will be willing to trade. Maybe Cam Whitmore too, but I'm not as big on Cam Whitmore because there's a lot of Heat fans, particularly my guys in the basement, that say the Heat should have drafted Cam Whitmore over Jaime Jaquez. I disagree. So I got a little bit of personal beef with Cam Whitmore, although it has nothing to do with him as a player or person. But he is a good player. But anyways, there is a couple other interesting pieces at Houston that I doubt they would be willing to let go of. But if they do, I would change my tone and I would send Jimmy Butler over there. If the Houston Rockets are willing to trade Alperen Sengun or Amen Thompson, I'm sorry, Jimmy, I got to take the deal because Amen Thompson looks like he will be one of the best defenders in the entire NBA at the point of attack position, and he has shown to be a guy that can play the point guard position as well. I think he had a triple-double last season, youngest player ever with a triple-double, I believe, or one of the youngest. He would fit great in the Heat system. Obviously, the jump shot is iffy, but he's like 19 or 20. Like, he will develop that shot, I believe. He'd be amazing here. And obviously, Sengun's a guy that will probably make the All-Star team just this season. So I would like that package the best for the Miami Heat. For the Rockets' perspective, I don't get why they would do that, to be honest. They seem to be in a rush to contend. But if you add Jimmy Butler there with Van Fleet and Jalen Green, whatever young guys you pick, I guess Jalen Green's another guy they might send to the Heat, but I hate that fit with Tyler Hero, so I don't even want to talk about Jalen Green coming to the Heat. But either way, if you have Jimmy Butler to that roster, they're not contenders still, so I don't see why they would want to mortgage so much of their future for that. But anyways, regardless of whatever package the Heat get back, the Heat still have some things that they can do, right? Because Jaime Jaquez is obviously having a very disappointing season. I think last season Heat fans were very high as him as maybe a building block for this team. But a lot of the reason when he was so great was when Jimmy Butler was out. And I do believe that if Jimmy Butler was to leave, I think Jaime Jaquez could start to show his full potential, which I think will be a great player. Maybe not an all-star, certainly not a Jimmy Butler level player, but I think he can be a guy that could be really great for this team for a long time. I never thought Jaime's decline this season, or I don't even want to say decline. He just hasn't had an instant improvement that we were all hoping for, which is fine. He's a sophomore in the league. Like, the improvements will come gradually. But I don't think it's a skill thing. I think he just hasn't gotten the opportunity that he did last season, because he is a guy that I think is most effective with the ball in his hands, because he can attack the rim so well. He's great when he gets the ball in the post with space and is able to have some room to make a move, get to the basket, do his fakes and footwork and up and unders and all that beautiful stuff that, I love so much. But he really hasn't gotten a chance to do that this season. A lot of other guys need the ball, and that means that he's relegated to the corner bricking threes. I think Jaime's like 3 for his last 25 from 3. It hasn't been pretty, but he obviously is a great piece that you would still have here. In addition to that, whatever picks the Heat have doesn't mean that the Heat are rebuilding, because now all of a sudden, whatever picks you got from Jimmy Butler now means that you can officially be in the conversation for the next star to ask out. Because you couldn't get Dame and Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant and all the other stars, Giannis, that we always talk about, because you never had enough assets. But if you trade Jimmy Butler, you have the assets. And it seems like every star that wants out has the Heat on their list, and now you would actually have a chance to get them. Not to mention that guy might be De'Aaron Fox, who, go watch yesterday's video, but I ended that by saying Fox actually has a quote where he said this past offseason where he didn't sign his extension because One of the reasons is he can obviously get more money if he does it the next year, but he also said he wants to win. He specifically called out guys like Jason Tatum and Bam Adebayo. And he said, look how Bam been to the finals twice. I want that. So De'Aaron Fox has his eye on the Miami Heat. He could be a potential name to watch out for. And if he is, the Heat would have the assets to get him. Of course, I'd like to pair him with Jimmy Butler, but if you can't, you still got 3 incredibly young, talented players in De'Aaron Fox, Tyler Hero, and Bam Adebayo that maybe this team could work their way into contention built around a core of that group because they are also young. And obviously this Tyler Hero jump that we're seeing this season, if it's real, I do believe it's real, then that changes things because last year you weren't sure if Tyler Hero was a building block, could be one of your 2 or 3 highest paid players on a championship team. But if he keeps playing like he is this season, you can certainly build around that guy. But anyways, that's all I got to say for this video. Let me know y'all thoughts down below. What do you think about trading Jimmy Butler? If so, which of those teams packages would you like better? And then do you want to trade Jimmy at all, I guess? But make sure to like, comment, subscribe. All that stuff helps me out a lot. I'll keep coming to y'all with news. So I'll see y'all with the next video. Peace out.
Look, pull up in your city tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.